Before refrigerators, food was a race against death. A fresh kill did not wait politely. Meat softened, blood darkened, flies arrived. In a world without ice machines, plastic wrap, grocery stores, or expiration dates, food could disappear even while it was sitting in front of you. For ancient humans, this was not a kitchen problem, it was a survival problem. A successful hunt could feed the group today, but winter did not care about today. How do you stop food from becoming poison? The answer was not one invention, it was many. Sun, wind, smoke, salt, cold, fat, acid, clay, fire, bone, time. Ancient people used nature itself, freezing meat in cold climates and drying food in hot ones. The first refrigerator was not a machine, it was the sky. In hot, dry places, ancient people discovered that moisture was the enemy. Remove the water, and decay slows down. Fish hanging from wooden racks, berries spread over woven mats, seeds resting in the sun. The food shrank, the color changed, the texture hardened, but it did not vanish. It became lighter, easier to carry, easier to hide, easier to survive on. A dried piece of meat was not just food, it was time captured in flesh. But drying had enemies. Rain could ruin it, insects could cover it, birds could steal it. So ancient people did what humans always do. They improved the trick. Fire changed everything. Smoke wrapped meat in a bitter chemical fog. It dried the surface, it changed the smell, it made insects hesitate. Picture a cave at dusk. Meat hangs above a low fire. Smoke crawls over the ceiling. A hunter feeds damp wood into the embers. A child coughs and pulls a hide closer. Inside, tomorrow's food is being protected. No one in that cave knows the word microbe, but they know patterns. Food left in the open turns dangerous. Food dried near smoke lasts longer. Survival becomes memory. Memory becomes tradition. Then came salt. Salt was strange. It looked like stone, but it could protect flesh. Rubbed into meat or packed around fish, it pulled moisture out. On a coast, this could change everything. Fish came in waves, too many to eat at once, too valuable to waste. Soon, the sea was no longer just a meal, it was a storage system. But ancient preservation was not always about keeping food clean and unchanged. Sometimes, survival meant allowing food to transform. Under the right conditions, helpful microbes could dominate dangerous ones. This was one of humanity's strangest discoveries. Not all decay was death. Some decay could feed you.
Cheese is one of the clearest examples. Milk spoils fast without refrigeration, but when ancient people learned to separate curds from whey, they turned a fragile liquid into something more stable, portable, and digestible. About 7,500 years ago in Northern Europe, pottery shards with tiny holes and milk residues support the idea that early farmers were using vessels like cheese strainers. A leaking pot, a sour smell, white curds caught in a vessel. To us, it is food history. To them, it was survival. Plants needed a different kind of protection. Grain could last longer than meat, but only if it stayed dry, safe, and away from animals. That meant storage became architecture. Holes, baskets, raised floors, sealed pits, granaries. At Draa, near the Dead Sea in Jordan, archaeologists found evidence for sophisticated, purpose-built granaries dating to roughly 11,300 to 11,175 years ago. Before giant cities, before supermarkets, before modern farming systems, these granaries had suspended floors for air circulation and protection from rodents. People were already building structures whose job was simple: keep food alive after harvest. A granary was not just a storage room, it was a promise that tomorrow might exist. Cold was another weapon. In frozen climates, ancient humans could use snow, ice, caves, and cold streams. Food could be buried in frozen ground or stored where the air stayed cool. Cold streams could prolong storage, but cold was unreliable. A warm day could betray you. A thaw could destroy weeks of food. So even in cold places, people often combined methods: freeze it, dry it, smoke it, hide it, watch it. Then there was fat. Fat could seal food away from air. Dried meat mixed with fat became dense survival food. In many cultures, fat was not just a nutrient, it was a barrier. The ancient world understood food through touch. Dry was safer than wet. Sour could be safer than sweet. Fire changed it. Clay hid it. And sometimes, bone was the container. At Kesem Cave near Tel Aviv, researchers found evidence that Paleolithic humans stored animal bone marrow for delayed consumption around 400,000 years ago. Early humans saved animal bones before eating the marrow inside. The bones still had skin around them. Inside, the marrow stayed protected. Outside, the surface dried. When the group needed food, they could break the bone open and eat the fat-rich marrow. Researchers even described the bones as acting like cans. A deer leg bone sitting in a cave was not trash. It was a pantry, a quiet reserve, a prehistoric emergency ration. Ancient humans were not simply eating whatever they found and then starving until the next lucky hunt. They were observing, testing, remembering, teaching. They were learning that food had stages, and each stage could be managed. Fresh meat was one stage, dried meat was another, smoked fish was another, salted flesh was another, sour milk was another, buried green was another, hidden marrow was another. Every method had risk, every method had failure. Some preserved foods still made people sick. Some stores were stolen by animals. Some pits flooded. Some dried meat molded. Some fermented food turned dangerous instead of useful. But the knowledge survived because the people who learned it survived. And slowly, food preservation changed human life. When food could last, camps could stay longer. When grain could be stored, villages could grow. When milk could become cheese, herds became more valuable. When meat could be dried and carried, journeys became possible. When fish could be smoked, rivers and coasts became seasonal banks of protein. The refrigerator did not invent stored food, it only made an ancient dream easier. Long before the hum of a kitchen appliance, there was a strip of meat drying in the wind, a fish hanging over smoke, a clay jar sealed in the dark, a pit full of grain, a bone waiting in a cave. The ancient pantry was not clean, it was not comfortable, it was not guaranteed, but it was genius, because before humans could build civilization, they had to defeat one invisible enemy: rot. And for thousands of years, with no electricity at all, they fought it with sun, smoke, salt, cold, microbes, and memory. No switches, no wires, no cold white kitchen light, only hands, weather, fire, and patience. Night pulled the group closer, not because it was comfortable, because stored food meant morning had a chance. The sun would rise, the fire would return, the food would still be there. That was not luck, that was ancient intelligence. A strip of meat, a smoking fish, a sealed jar, a hidden bone, a handful of grain. Small things, quiet things, the kind of things that let a species survive long enough to build everything else. Before the refrigerator, survival lived in smoke, salt, sun, cold, bone, and memory. And the next time your fridge hums in the dark, remember this: humans were fighting rot long before they ever understood what rot was.